Alia Bhatt, welcome to Forbes India.
Thank you.
Congratulations on Darlings and your foray into production. What was the idea behind starting a production house?
You know, people used to always ask me, do you think you'll ever direct a movie? So I was like, no, I don't think I can direct because I don't think I have a story to tell. But maybe produce, and by produce I mean like creatively produce. But I never really actually got to it because it needed to happen naturally. When a film like Darlings came to me, when Jasmeet narrated the story to me, it just naturally happened where I was like, I was totally blown by the story and I didn't expect to I didn't expect the film to take the beats that it was taking when I started listening to it. And instinctively I was like, okay, listen, this seems like a good film for me to produce. I mean, act in, of course, but also produce because it's, it has a very strong message. It's a very unique kind of tale. And if I'm headlining a film anyway, I think at that kind of transition, it just made sense for me to be like, okay, if I'm headlining it, then maybe I should also produce it.
Right.
And I suggested it to Gaurav from Red Chillies, and he was in fact very, very supportive of it. And actually my production house was not created at that time, nothing. It was just an idea that just kind of happened like, oh, maybe it's a good time, to begin it. Post that, then we sat and actually created the production house, which is Eternal Sunshine Productions. And it then came to me like a very, sort of like just like an idea of like, okay, now this is a good kind of route and path to take, which is to support new talents. And Jasmeet is a new director. I'm sort of giving, and she's been trying to make a movie for quite some time. I'm sort of, like my dad said, for how long are you going to fuel your own car, start to fuel other people's engines as well. So literally want to give new writers, new directors an opportunity to kind of bring their content to the forefront, and we will support them, and I will kind of support them at every step of the way, because I don't understand the numbers. I need somebody else to do the numbers for me. But the creative side of it, I mean, I've had a blast doing it.
Darling deals with the subject of abuse against women. So are you looking at making women-centric films? What are the kind of stories or series that you want to tell via your films?
See, to me, a Darlings is, of course, the backdrop is, say, a domestic violence. But to me, at the heart of it, it's a mother-daughter story. So it's not for me, I'm not like, I don't want to make women-centric films or male-centric films or any centric films. Films should be universal. You can tell a story of a dog also, and it should be beautiful. And I would want to maybe do something like that someday. So I don't want to limit my genre or storytelling to anything, because there are not only one kind of stories in the world. So you should be able to tell different beautiful stories. But yeah, maybe at the heart of it, I would like to tell stories with a good message at the end of it, or something to learn, something to take away. That's what I sense it right now. But of course, you would never say never. Never, some thriller, totally Gone Girl type script comes to me. Maybe I will find that also very interesting.
Yeah. A lot of your contemporaries, actresses, have also got into production. Does that help in terms of storytelling? Does a perspective change if an actress is involved?
I don't think so. I think it depends on the content that's coming to you. I think it depends on the writing content, and especially, it starts with the writing content and the kind of young directors and the people that are coming to you. So yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Okay.
You also completed a decade in the industry as an actor. You started out in 2012. So was this a natural progression?
When you think about it, it seems like it, because I'm like, okay, yeah, now I finished 10 years in the industry, focusing, all my focus was just me as the actor. Now for the next 10 years, I can focus on my production house. I can say these things, but actually nothing in life happens with so much planning. It just naturally happened. Actually, the time that I signed Darlings was 2019.
Okay.
Had it not been for the pandemic, it would have come out in maybe a 2020, and it would have, it would have not been 10 years.
Correct.
It just all worked out that, yes, it's also my 10th year in the industry, and it's also my first year as a producer.
Yeah.
So sometimes these equations just happen and you don't really have any control over it. But it tells a good story.
Of course. What have been your learnings, good or bad, in your time in this industry so far?
I mean, there are too many learnings.
Can you pinpoint some?
I think one of the most important learnings I have, and even now I have to constantly work on, is that of patience. Because as an actor, you have to be very, very patient on set, very, very patient with a lot of things going around you, going on around you, which can tend to be a bit chaotic, and you can respond a bit aggressively or a bit, impatiently to it. So which is why you have to hold your patience, because sometimes there seems to be a whirlwind that you can't control.
Correct.
A lot of the times, and especially for a control freak like me. And another thing is just patience of, like, I guess, the good times and the bad times. Like, you work on a film for many, many years, and sometimes it sees great results, but sometimes it doesn't. And in that moment, you can do nothing but be patient for the next film. It's all about that one Friday or the day the film releases, that kind of seals your fate. But you put in so much work, and you're sometimes patiently waiting for that work to even come out. Like, I remember when we were sitting on Gangubai and we had shot it, and it was not releasing in the theatres because of the theatres and the timing and things getting pushed. Patience. Okay, patience. It'll release. People will like it. It'll all go well. Patience even on a film set. Sometimes you just have to sit and wait around, and you just, like, go and do one shot or something. So that is, like, in general, it's a beautiful virtue to learn. But I think that's something that I have learned comes very handy for an actor. Yeah, I mean, there are other things also there, like, having thick skin, knowing balance of, like, work life and personal life, not really, letting the stress kind of take over, all those things, the negative sides. And there's also positive sides. Not being the first member of your own fan club, everything has gone well, but you are not solely responsible for it. Very often people think because the actors are the front, they are the responsible. Actually, it's not. Like, there's so much that goes into making a movie come to life. So all these little things. So I think patience for me kind of tops the list.
And how would you describe this journey of yours?
I think it's been quite beautiful. To me, it's gone by really quickly. Like, it's the fastest train I think that I've ever sat on. But there have been some great pit stops. There's been some beautiful views. And by beautiful, I mean the good days and the bad days were beautiful, because you learn everything from it. And I think I consider myself very fortunate that I get to go to work every day with so much love and passion in my heart for what I'm doing. It's not just another day. And even when it's just another day, sometimes the work itself makes it better. Like, if I'm, like, just tired and exhausted physically, but I'm going to set and I've got this really fun scene to do, I just get lost in the scene, and it's like, oh, okay, those worries that you had when you woke up in the morning, they don't exist anymore.
Right. But you reached a certain stature in the industry in all these years. Is it because of your hard work, your dedication?
Listen, it's a lot. You can't survive in the industry without hard work. So, of course, hard work is the basic. Like, it comes with the job. You have to work hard. Whatever people may say, at the end of the day, I am waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I am having 14-hour days. I am going to sleep. I am thinking about, I'm, like, assessing. I'm doing it. So you have to do it. No one else is going to do it for you. A lot of it is just instinct, luck. Like, you choose the right film at the right time. Something works out for you. That like, sometimes films don't happen and then other films happen. Like, I keep saying this, like, a film like Inshallah that I was meant to do with, Sanjay sir, didn't happen. Because of that, Gangubai happened. So it's all kind of connected. Had that film happened, maybe Gangubai would have not happened. So sometimes you feel like sab kuch likha hua hai, it's all destiny and all. But destiny is what? Luck. You can't put a finger on what that is. And a lot of it is just being good to work with. I think that's something that I constantly tell myself, and I would kind of even tell my kids, like, listen, at the end of the day, the sun does not shine out of your backside. You have to make people believe that you're worth the talent or the effort that you're putting in, and you have to collaborate with people.
Correct.
It's not only your world.
Correct.
You know, the world exists for everyone else. So all these things, they're all immensely important factors that contribute to a good, healthy working atmosphere.
Yeah, you also made some investments in some brands, and this comes with your production house as well now. So what is your investment philosophy? What do you look for when you decide to associate your name with something?
See, I'm a storyteller. I mean, I'm a part of the storytelling industry. I like the brands that tell good stories, and in my opinion, that are maybe filling a certain gap in the market that we are not really consciously maybe thinking about. For example, coming up with a brand like Edamama was a children's clothing brand, was filling a gap in the market because there was no homegrown Indian clothing brand for kids from the age of 2 to 14. And that's there in the facts. Even now, while I'm expanding that brand and I'm working on other layers of it, I'm seeing there are so many, again, factors in that same category that are just missing,
Correct.
that don't exist in India from there's a dearth of it. So you focus on that. Maybe then investing in a company like Nykaa, for example. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But I love the story. I love the way that brand began, and I love the fact that it is, again, it's your go-to for beauty, and it's your go-to for all women's centric products, and that's the reason it's probably grown exponentially over the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic, sitting at home when you don't have access to actually going to any offline stores. I mean, this really picks up. Or investing in a brand like Pool. I love their philosophy. I love their story. I love what their future plans are for the planet, for the people, for the earth. So it's as simple as that. I'm not, like I said, I don't understand the numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers is just okay, for me they're just numbers.
Right.
But there's a lot behind the numbers which actually add up to it becoming the brands that they are, and that is the instinct and the story the brand is telling.
So are you a realistic investor or are you a smart investor?
Realistic would be, I don't know, what's the difference? They both seem the same to me. Realistic would be do I gather lots of information and then put together? Maybe not.
Okay.
I just go with my instinct.
Okay. Coming back to Darlings, what did you enjoy the most? Being behind the scenes or acting in the film as well?
Weirdly, when the film was in production and we were shooting, I was just an actor.
Correct.
But when we finished shooting the film, suddenly I was like, oh, okay, I'm no longer disconnected from the film, because see, what happens as an actor is you do your job, you finish your film, and you say bye-bye, and then you go away to the next film. Here, the kind of investment in the time, energy, everything lingered on, and it's on till even now. Even right now, when I was sitting upstairs, I was approving some video and stuff like that. It's not my job to just show up and talk about the film. I have to also think about what's happening beyond. We are all working to one vision, which is the director's vision. We're all aiding that vision, but we have to aid it. And that aiding is a whole other process altogether. One is shooting the film and making it come to life, but then is putting it together, a marketing plan, campaign plan, cutting the teaser, cutting the trailer, cutting the song units. I've never gotten so deeply involved into the units.
Yeah.
But every little detail makes a difference. You cut this, you add a little bit more of this, you change the sound here, you change the sound there, and again, it's all a play of instinct. So actually, I really enjoyed
doing that.
both. Yeah, deeply enjoyed it.
So what next for Alia Bhatt? What are the creative pursuits that you're looking at?
Well, like I said, my focus right now is to, of course, act, and that's something that I will never stop doing. Tomorrow I'm shooting for my film Rocky or Rani, and I will continue to act, even, after giving birth and all of that, I will be back to work before you can say Darlings, I will be back. But there is another facet to my life, which of course is also handling, say, my brand, Edamama, and focusing on the other things. But looking for content and putting together content for Eternal Sunshine Productions is a whole new kind of like a facet that's just opened up, and it's actually so exciting. And it's right now consisting of a very small team. Very small team. Me, my sister, my manager Grishma, and we take like suggestions from people, but it's basically just us right now, and we're handling it in a very like sort of home style way, which is very new, but at the end of the day we're getting this opportunity to interact with people and tell stories and put together stories. So that has actually been a main focus since we've kind of announced Eternal and spoken about it. And we are working on a couple of very exciting show ideas actually, and reading scripts for movies, working on a movie as well currently. So yeah, that is, if you can see my excitement, my face is lighting up when I'm talking about it, because it's like, it's a totally different area, but it's so exciting. And when that content sees the light of day, I know the satisfaction will be of another kind, because that's the way I feel about a film like Darlings.
All right. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And hope you do very well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.